to be the greatest experience and greatest transitional phase of my whole life. I visited countries like Muscat, Oman, Abu Dhabi, and Dubai, and through the course of my travels and through the course of performing, and once the shows were over, I started to pay more attention to the surroundings. I started to pay more attention to the environment that I was in and the culture that came with the environment. Two eyes, I seen something that was so different from what American media expresses in terms of the Islam and the Muslim, and I was drawn. I gravitated to this understanding. I would hear certain things like the adhan, which is the call to prayer. I heard the call to prayer being recited, and actually seeing the Muslim make salat, meaning the prayer. And all these things like, buy luxurious gifts or travel to beaches and do all kinds of things, and satisfaction was always temporary. So while I was in Abu Dhabi and looking at the sunset, overlooking the Arabian Sea, something hit me. And that vision and those collective impressions left me in only one conclusion, that I wanted to be a Muslim. And this is where I was introduced to Islam with no verbal dawah. Basically, an impression that was left based on the mannerisms of the Muslim, the culture of the Muslim, and the collective acts of worship of the Muslim. All these things lended a hand to introducing me to a brand new way of life and a newfound peace that I wouldn't trade in for nothing in the world. To guide me away from the lifestyle, I would be a fool to return back to the place in which I was guided from. So, in that case, I just, anyone who's involved in music and a Muslim and understand, the benefits of practicing Islam correctly and knowing that the Quran teaches us that music is haram, to another music or another style of music will only be, counterproductive for what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to get closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I would like to get more in depth with, learning how to read Quran, read and write Arabic, and study, the Quran and the Sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and continue to follow the Prophet ﷺ and his companions, that this is the correct way of Islam, and this is what, I've dedicated my life to doing, inshallah.